Welcome back to Success Talks, and we're going to be discussing more techniques with myself and Abbass Zadeh.
Hello.
How are you?
Very well. How you been?
Not too bad. And just before the episode, you were talking to me about not giving advice because I'm a coach. But let me just clarify, I do not give advice in a session. That's why I have shows, so I can highlight things. And yes, we brainstorm.
Yep.
So the coaching session is very different to my shows. It's very different. If I'm, in a coaching session, it will be more the client speaking and me opening up their mind by questioning. Okay? So a lot of people do get confused thinking that I'm giving advice or I'm saying all of these things and that's not a life coach, and it isn't. But I'm not in a session with you right now.
No, absolutely.
That is different. That's why I have these separate shows to share the insights that most people don't have that I do. And it might come across like advice, but actually no, because there's no wrong or right. It's just information for everyone to gauge and learn from. So are we clear on that?
We're 100% clear. And I think that obviously the reason why I bring that up, because I know that there'd be a few people who would be too afraid to come and to speak to a life coach or to somebody because they're worried about them being judged or them getting advice that they don't want to hear. It's probably why a lot of people don't even speak to family members, because they don't want to hear advice and they don't want to hear, I told you so, or don't do this, and 6 months down the line, well, I told you that's why not to do it. So I think, obviously, for the viewers that are watching, to clear that up, for them to have an insight that coaching is not to be able to give advice, but to open up the individual's thought process.
Definitely. So let's just go straight into the first technique for this episode. Circle of awesomeness. So the previous episode we discussed being having this chain of excellence and controlling our minds and bringing awareness. But now, especially when I studied NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, there's a lot of physical techniques that we can use, like to overcome fear and things like that. So one of this is like a circle of awesomeness is you actually picturing yourself, or drawing, a visual circle, which is that excellent place. So while we discuss that awesomeness state, you have to also be physically in that space. And a lot of us, we don't realize, but when we use techniques like this, it can get us into a place that is a lot better just by putting ourselves in a different environment. We can't always do that wherever we are, and it's very difficult. So in your mind, you draw a circle on the ground, and that is your circle of excellence. Okay, that is your space. And when you walk into that circle of awesomeness or excellence, that's you performing at your best. So you change yourself. And a lot of times you think it's silly, why am I going to walk into this space and then pretend, that I'm not there? But when you do that and you know that you can change, because the human mind and body is amazing. And again, when we bring ourselves to that conscious awareness, we sometimes might not have it so much so in our minds, having that control, or in our language. But then when we physically take our bodies into a particular area, that could change our state of mind. So even if we don't have, the time to drive to the beach, like you said last time, this is what we want to do. But say you're standing and you're a bit nervous and you're going into a meeting, so you can visualize and draw a place, a circle, and step into it. And that's all your best, traits and qualities will come out. Because in that circle, that's your excellent state.
Never heard of that one before. I like that one. But just as you were saying it, my thought process would be, the planet is the circle. That's my circle. The world is my circle.
That's true.
And me personally, I wouldn't want to have to, I'm not saying I'm not going to try it, but I wouldn't want to have to step in one spot to be able to think,
it's like a recharge.
Like a recharge, I get that.
Fair enough.
But the world, the planet is my circle. That's my space. This is where I'm going to be great. This is where I'm going to do my thought. This is where I'm going to do everything.
But when you're in that space and you're negative, you see, that world is not really feeling and looking and, acting great for you.
Okay.
So that's what I'm coming from. When you're in a place and you're standing, and yes, the world is your circle and everything, but you're not feeling positive, you're not feeling great, you're having this negative feeling, or you're having a bit of self-doubt. So then that's why it's a safe space. Like, I'll give you another example. When I try and help children overcome fear of spiders, for example, I help them picture a spider, okay? And then I help them step by step, making that spider's legs a little bit longer, and then maybe doing a dance.
Is it making it scarier, longer legs?
Not necessarily. But when it's doing a dance, or when it's acting, sort of like how they would do it in a cartoon.
Sure.
Do you understand? So in a way, and then we lock it in a box and we put it away. But it's all in your mind, even if it's not real. And then all of a sudden, and actually children work with this a lot better because they just listen and they just do what we need to do without thinking of all the things outside like you just described.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's the normal human way of thinking, and to overcome that fear, to lock it away. And then you do that a few times, you don't realize, especially with the NLP techniques, that that's how you get away from those negative or fearful or stressful thoughts. That's what I'm saying, these are high quality, sort of like techniques that when you're only sitting with someone that's trained to do this, then you can actually do it. It's kind of like hypnosis to a certain extent, but obviously I don't do hypnosis, but it's taking your mind into a different way of, changing your habits, reframing it. Basically, it's reframing. So whatever you're in, you're reframing, and if you step into that circle, now you're reframing yourself into that excellence, awesomeness state.
Okay, so just to dull it down a bit for myself so I kind of get understanding. So I'm under a bit of pressure, my mind's gone AWOL, I'm all over the place. I'm about to go into one of the biggest meetings that could be business opportunity changing. I freeze and I stop, and I just imagine myself, let's say for example, standing in the little corner of the room, in my own circle, gather all my stuff together, my thoughts together, that's my circle, and I remember, you called it the circle
of awesomeness.
Of awesomeness.
You can name it however you want.
You remember everything that made you awesome, or stuff that goes through your mind and everything like that. 2-3 minutes, then as if I'm walking out of that, and bang, away I go.
Exactly, but you know what you just said now just made me remind myself of something, because when I was talking to somebody else and they came to me and said, can I have a few minutes of your time? And I'm going through anxiety, I'm going through this, and sometimes I come out of it, and sometimes but what do I do? And I'm like, hang on, you just said you came out of it sometimes. Let's go back to that space. You see, we forget. We can go back and we can solve it, but we're not focusing on that because we're just used to that constant habit of
going round in circles.
Yeah. So this is the point. You see, when you come to a trained NLP practitioner or life coach with these trained strategies, and we don't have this opportunity. That's why I want to share this with everyone, because a lot of people have to pay for this. And obviously you need someone there with you to help you through it. But you can have this awareness and train your mind and use this for yourself. That's the whole point. For me to share all this information for everyone. And yes, you can go to specific videos and look it up and you'll find that, but you don't even know what you're looking for. That's why I made it success techniques, especially for business and careers, because it's open, it's wide. And then people don't realize, wow, we're not looking for NLP, but this is NLP that's in there that we can use. We're not looking for life coaching, but this is something that we can use. So that's how I'm trying to work it in that way. But like I said, we do so much for ourselves that helps ourselves, but we don't think that we're capable because we've done it once and we think that, oh, it's not going to work, or we forget.
It's funny you say that, because now that you've said it again, you've got mind brain thinking again, and a show that I absolutely love watching, Dragon's Den.
Oh, yes.
So
yes.
When these dragons are about to, they put an offer on the table and the individual says, can I go to the back of the room? They face the wall.
Yeah.
They're having a little brainstorm in their head. So it's like they're in the, it absolutely makes sense. And not that I've, for example, that I could ever imagine now just thinking about it, that I've done something like that, but potentially I've gone a time where I've gone to do something and I've gone, just give me a minute, and I've taken my own time. But as you word it now, in a circle of awesomeness, or that little circle to put yourself in,
you can do that.
It will start to make you think about stuff like that. Absolutely.
It. So that's one technique that I think is very vital for both of us, to sort of, share this and use. The other one is the identity map tool. This is very, very important. We have our invented self, our false self, and our true self. And we think that we are a particular way, but we need to know who we are and where does it come from. So what defines us? Sometimes we can say values, beliefs, that defines us. It might direct us. And then you need to study yourself and know yourself so well, because the most, high performers are congruent to what their values and principles are. Because a lot of people say we've got to fake it to make it. When you're in business, you've got to be a particular way and you've got to do things. And after a while, it does fizzle and it does not work, as I can see you shaking your head.
I totally disagree with that. Totally disagree with that.
Oh, really?
The whole fake it till you make it.
Oh,
or stuff
okay.
like
I thought you meant you're disagreeing with.
No. Just what you said. They totally disagree with that. You need to be you.
You need to be real.
You need to be able to be real. You need to deliver your thought process. Yeah. Yes, you need to set yourself in that frame of mind of where you want to be to get to that.
Yeah.
But this whole fake it till you make it, or or pretend to be something that you're actually not. I mean, I don't want to mix the two up, because if you remember in previous episodes, we were talking about the Richard Branson quote, which is, if you don't know what you're going to do, say yes and then learn how to do it. But that's saying yes to learn how to do something, not faking it or not pretending.
Yes.
But you're saying yes because you want to take that opportunity.
Yes, to grow.
But that whole different lifestyle, I totally disagree with that, because if you have that mindset and you think that if you've offered me something, I have absolutely no clue, and I'm just going to take it for the sake of taking it, and then a month, 2 months, 3 months, you haven't really checked up on me, you haven't tested me, I'm going to think, you know what, that was quite simple. I just took on a 3-month project. They didn't even check with me. I just did what I did. I went on with it. I made my money. And when you go on to the next project or the next idea, you'll do the same thing. So, no,
but a lot of us find it difficult to identify ourselves. So one way of doing it is to basically find out and study yourself. Who influences you and what are you influenced by? It doesn't have to be people, it could be things, it could be your past, it could be your future that you're looking at. And, you know, what did you learn from that person? Whether it's your home, whether it's your members or whatever it may be. To develop success, we need to synchronize our behaviors with our values in order to be authentic, congruent, and for the other person, they will sense that. And that's real success, because when you are being true to what you believe in, and that shows in your language, in the way in which you will approach somebody, and it does, you know, show your character and your identity. But a lot of us are confused about our identity and how to bring that into your business life.
Yeah, I mean, people will go through different thought processes and different stages when you're trying to get your identity, but I think some of the techniques that we spoke about previously to be able to get your own identity is to think to yourself a lot, that we spoke about, you know, talking to yourself, taking a few minutes out to reevaluate. I think that's how you learn your actual true identity, when you put yourself in uncomfortable positions, when you put yourself in positions that you wouldn't normally. So if you're stepping outside the box, or if you're going to, I don't know, people, for example, play safe every time they go to a restaurant and they order the same thing because they know what it tastes like. You're going to go and order something new, and then you're going to take yourself out of your comfortable position to be able to go, okay, that's when you really start to understand who your true identity is. If you, for example, don't get on with somebody so great at work, and then after work everybody's going out for drinks, or they're going out for a meal, or they're going for a celebration of success, or they're going somewhere, you sit yourself next to the person you usually don't. You talk to the person that you usually don't.
These are all great techniques.
This will help you pick up your identity.
To get deeper, to help the viewers understand what I really mean, is that in order to really identify yourself and to know, because you have all these influences and you do it, but we're not in connection with how we feel, and we don't trust our gut feeling. And there are energy and vibes that we have within ourselves and around us. And I think we need to trust that more. And when you have belief in that, because sometimes we can get a feeling of somebody. It may not 100% always be right. And you've got to give that chance. You can't just judge by, you know, cover of a book.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Exactly, stuff like that. But at the same time, when you have a feeling and it's quite strong and it's consistent as well, then you need to sort of step back and analyze that. And that becomes your identity, because you're like, that doesn't sound right. That's not for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
To a certain extent, that is also something to consider.
But I think people need to have that self-belief with them thoughts, for example.
And over time, experience will help them.
Exactly. Like, for example, the one thing that you just mentioned, I'm just going to pick up on now, because to me it always happens, is my gut feeling.
Yeah.
I'm one person that if I get a gut feeling about something, I do it.
But was that stronger now, or do you think you've always had that strong sense from the beginning?
I feel my gut feeling has always been a strong sense, but it's continued to grow.
Okay.
Like, for example,
how do you think it's grown?
If I think because over time you come to realize that you sense things, you can feel things, what's going to happen.
And then you believe in it.
And you believe in it. So if I know, for example, I want to do something at work, and I discuss it, for example, with my head operations, and she says to me, right, let's sit down, put it pen to paper, let's have an understanding why. And sometimes I turn around and say, no. My gut feeling is telling me this is what we need to do. And sometimes it's very hard when you're trying to not persuade people, but you want them to understand your thought process when it's just a gut feeling. But I'm the type of person, if I have a gut feeling about something, you always act on it. And I've always been like that.
To be in a position where, you know, at the end of the day, it's your call, right? Yeah. Being the CEO, the owner and everything. Yeah. So But the thing is, again, when you work with people over time and if they get to know you well enough and they have the experience of you, then they will trust you. But
no, absolutely. But I think even that, I mean, it is my company, it's my money, I'm the CEO, I'm the owner, all of that stuff. But I don't look to make, for example, decisions where potentially my team or the people that report into me or work for me won't believe in it or understand it. Because I could just sit here and go, right, it's time to go buy 6 more cars, and I'll go to my team, right, I've now bought 6 cars, go and make money from them. Because they'll turn around and go, hold on, we didn't have that gut feeling that you had, and now you've just put it on top of us. So you need buy-in from your team. You need buy-in from the people that you work with or you surround yourself with. Yeah, it's your money. If I go buy the car and it doesn't work, obviously I'm the only one to blame. But if I can instill that into my team to say, right, these are the reasons why. So you have
to be an influencer.
100% you have to influence your team. If you can't influence your team or the people that you live with or the people that you work with or people in your home life on reasons why you're doing certain things, you're not going to have that physical support. You're not going to have that mental support. And sometimes everybody needs that.
Yeah.
And then if you don't have that, it may potentially, depends on how weak or how strong you are, it may put that doubt in your own mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to say also it comes from, you having that self-belief as well, and then you portraying that to other people,
100%.
and the real ones will,
If I have an idea or if I have a gut feeling and I want to go with it and my team believing in it and my team will come back and go, we understand it's right, it's going to instill more belief in myself.
Okay.
But if I do it, say it to my team and they're unsure or that uncertainty may creep up and take over my mind and I'll go, actually, what now? What next? So 100%, I think it's definitely something that needs to be done.
Identify yourself and know exactly who you are.
Exactly that. Exactly that.
Okay, the next one is going to throw you off a little bit. And you're probably thinking, what has that got to do with anything? But it's the love question. Okay, so the love question is, do you know how to love, who you love, and show it? Because a lot of the times we think we only have to be in a particular warm way showing love just when we're at home. And we have to be robotic and with no emotion when you're at work. But I think if you're, I don't mean charming, I mean like showing like care. And if you are a loving person, it shows in, the work that you do, the people that you will support, and certain situations that come up and how you would treat your colleagues or employees or whatever it may be. So I think it's really important to have the love question and to bring that authenticity out of you, not just at home and not just with your partner, for example, or your, family members and close friends. It should really come out at work, because with that belief should come love, and then there comes connection, and it comes rapport, then it comes, a lot more sort of like support from everybody. So what do you think about that love question within your business? It could be taken in different...
Of course, I think the love theory, I think, can work in different ways, because it's not only just about how you show love, it's how people accept it or how people take it as well. Because people take it and receive it, was the word, not take it, receive it in various different ways.
That's true.
A lot of people like to hear it a lot. A lot of people get overwhelmed when you say it too much.
That's true.
A lot of people, when you continuously praise or continuously showing love for what they are doing or the work that they're doing, or if it's a partner, if it's physical love, if it's just emotional love, if it's just verbal love, if it's just mental love. People hear it in different way, they receive it in a different way, and people show it in different way.
That's so true.
I'm a firm believer, for example, if we just, for example, turn love, for example, into praise or care with the team, is that I'm a firm believer that you always show that to your team. Because
but maybe for you it comes naturally and other people it doesn't. That's what I'm saying.
Potentially, absolutely,
It needs to be,
But it needs to be authentic. It needs to be how you actually do that.
That's what the question is.
Exactly.
How do you love?
How do you love? How do you do that? So, for example, with me in my working environment, I do make sure that I show a lot of love and a lot of care and a lot of praise. Love? I think it's completely different for each individual person, because I know
that could be good. Yeah.
I know, for example, that my drivers want to be loved in a certain different way, or they want to feel that connection in a different way. Whereas, for example, the people in the office, people that just answer the calls, people that do the admin, people that work really closely with me, everybody wants to do it in different ways. So I think you need to be able to figure it out, and you'll only figure it out, in my personal opinion, in 2 ways. One, when you really know yourself and you know how you are, your traits.
Right.
And 2, how you get to know that person sat opposite you.
How do you get to know that person?
I think how you get to know that person sat opposite you is, for example, the time that you spend with them, the conversations with them, the work ethics that you have, the trait that you deliver, the way that they look at your vision, the way that you look at their vision.
Okay, the responses.
The qualities that they have, the qualities that you have, where, for example, you think they might not. I mean, just talking about that, I mean, a silly thing. If I've got two people working for me that potentially I don't think that they see eye to eye in a lot of things, whenever we are having nights out or we're having lunch meetings or we're having whatever, I make it my goal to put them two together.
Oh, really?
I make it my goal to put them two together because I think...
So what happens?
At first it's a little bit awkward, but you then get to start to know that person a little bit more. You then start to have a little bit of more of an understanding. Okay, so at work I told you I wanted you to do X, Y, and Z and you were off with me. But I realized because of your thought process, or I realized that you needed to hear it in a different way because that's how you function. And when you get to know them qualities from people, you get to understand, right?
So do you think that you're analyzing those two, how they react and respond, or is also them to help, helping each other out?
100%. Me personally, I do sit and analyze because I think, right,
how do they respond?
How do they respond to one another, and how will then I go to respond to them? But at the same time,
what about the connection between the two of them?
You need to also to allow that connection between the two people. They need to be able to build that up between themselves. And it's only when you come to get to know that person or get to know them individuals, you'll realize on how do you love. And again, I'm not answering the question because it's very broad. It can be very different.
You're giving the techniques as to, but we don't know what the answers are.
Don't know what the answers are.
But these are the techniques so you can get whatever you're going to get back. And even if you're going to get whatever it is, you're going to respond differently depending on who you are as well.
Absolutely. You may have one member of staff that if they do really, really, really well and you put a thank you card with a thank you so much for your help, love from the team, a little kiss, you give that to them. To them, that's like, oh my God.
Yeah, there's different ways.
My boss loves me, my team love me, they all appreciate me. Somebody else could be like, I didn't get a tip. I didn't get no bonus at the end of the month,
True.
They didn't add an extra £200 in my paycheck. These lot don't even love me, they don't appreciate me.
Yeah.
So everybody is completely different. I mean, money talks, everybody loves money, but it's the sentimental value.
Yes.
It's the sentimental value.
Everyone's different.
So how do you love is you get to know the person. You get to know the qualities, you get to know that they're understanding.
And it can change over time,
And it can change. You need to understand how they define love.
Yes.
What is love?
Absolutely.
To some people, it could be a little pat on the shoulder, a little arm around the shoulder, I, for example, when I used to work in main dealers, when I was working for the big brands that I was doing in the car industry, some people wanted that love, and that love was shown by me putting an arm around their shoulder and saying, do you know what? You did amazing today.
Yeah.
Well done.
And that means
a little pat
lot.
on the back.
Yeah.
And to them, that was like, my boss really loves me, man. He really, really likes me. He knows how to motivate me. With other people, if you try to do that, it's like awkward.
Yeah.
Get your hand off me. Don't get so close. You need to understand the different characters without overstepping the boundaries. And some people, like I say, for example, I had women that were older than me, and when I used to get a card and I used to get the whole team to sign it and say, dear so-and-so, thank you so much for what you did this week. Love from the team. And everyone signed it and everybody put a little kiss on that. You gave it to that individual. She used to open that card. Tears used to flow. She'd be like, oh my God, I feel so loved by where I work, by my team. So again, how do you love? You get to know the individuals, you get to know the people, you understand, but you also need to know yourself to be able to do that.
Absolutely.
This whole fake it, put a fake smile on, oh, thank you so much, you were great today, and you walk off and think, God, do I really need to tell you that?
Yeah.
You need to believe in it, believe in yourself for somebody to be able to feel that.
I think you've given us so many tips already, and I didn't even think that we could talk much about this. I didn't realize, but actually it's really important, and I hope the viewers really, listen to what you're saying, because it's really important in interaction in business. And what you've just said has highlighted so many important values, so many important techniques and ways of yourself and dealing with other people. And this is a really, really strong strategy, more than I thought by just your analysis. So thank you very much for sharing that.
Thank you.
And we've come to the end of this episode now. But it was amazing that you've actually highlighted this, even differently than what I thought. And I'm really looking forward to speaking to you next.
Excellent.
Thank you so much for watching, and we will be back.